there was a really interesting article about you in the New York Jewish Week, I think from January, and it was after the letter that you signed on about what's going on in Gaza. And he posed the question, does being pro-Palestinian automatically mean that you're anti-Israel? And can someone who is friendly and sympathetic to one side also be sympathetic and friendly to the other? And I wanted to get your opinion on that.
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked me that, because I believe it's essential that we see Israelis and Palestinians is almost, in my view, almost like conjoined twins. You know, if you try to hurt one, you will hurt the other, and if you try to hurt the other, you will hurt the one. I mean, you know, look, the fact is that you have had Palestinian, certain group, not all Palestinians, but certain groups of them say we're going to push the Jews into the sea. Well, they haven't pushed nobody into the sea. Israel is strong, vibrant economy, and everything else. And you've also had some people who are Jewish in Israel say that, well, you know, their homeland is in Jordan. You know, they can get out of here. Well, they're not. They're not going any. The Palestinians ain't going anywhere. I mean, you know, that is the reality. And so I think that anyone who says that I'm in pro-Israel, or anyone who says I'm pro-Palestinian, must recognize the connection between both. And, you know, it's an interesting thing. When I was in Egypt, somebody said, you know, the Israelis and Palestinians understand each other better than anyone understands either. I mean, you know how many Palestinians speak Hebrew? Lots of them. How many Jordanians or Egyptians or anybody else speaks Hebrew if you're not Israeli? Almost nobody, right? But Palestinians, to a large percent, speak it. A lot of Israelis speak Arabic. It's common, you know? And so, you know, this is a conflict that I think you cannot take a zero-sum position in. You've got to understand that there's win-win and there's lose-lose, but there's no win-lose, you know? And that's why I think it's so important for the United States to take a very, you know, hands-on position in terms of trying to bring about peace in the Holy Land. Because it can happen. I just know it can. Other conflicts have existed longer. The Northern Ireland was longer. You know, there were other conflicts that have just existed longer. And so, you know, but the United States, I think the international community has to appreciate the fact that it's difficult for the two parties to work it out all on their own. One of the difficulties is that there's people to the right on both ends who will accuse the people who want to make concessions of selling out. And so they can't, you know, so they need somebody to say, oh, well, America's like making us do this, you know. And so that dynamic, I am certain that that, you know, everybody knows what the final status agreement is going to look like, but the way to get there is so incredibly difficult, and the United States needs to be there. And one of the things we can do here in America is to help Americans understand that there is no zero-sum game when it comes to Israel and Palestine. There is a win-win, and there's also a lose-lose, but a win-lose is really not in the scenario because the people are so tightly conjoined to each other. I mean, we are debating Israeli settlements nowadays, right? That's what's a news item. Many of them are actually built by Palestinians, and those Palestinians are happy to get to work. I mean, it's complicated, is my point. You know what I mean? These are folks who are tightly intertwined. We need, as the international community, to help them arrive at a solution.